Voters have selected Quinton Lucas as the next mayor of Kansas City.
We need to get to a point where it's totally and completely unacceptable to have this same rate of crime every year. And that's something that I'm going to start working on immediately.
Just hours after his swearing in, someone was shot and killed. Mayor Quinton Lucas's biggest priority has proven to be his biggest challenge.
This, as we've seen, 3 people killed in just over a 24-hour period this week. One of the things the mayor promised during his campaign was to get Kansas City off the top 10 most dangerous list. And he tells me work is already underway.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
The honeymoon period was admittedly short for Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas.
The evening I was sworn in, somebody was shot and killed. A man walking from the bus stop off Indiana. That crime's still unsolved, by the way. Aaron Langhoffer's killed the next day in a tragedy. And then somebody was killed every single day for the next, I believe, 6 or 7 days.
Fast forward to day 100, and Kansas City is on pace to have its deadliest year in recent history. Among the victims, 8-year-old Brian Bartlett.
I think maybe the Saturday before school started. That broke my heart, still does. You know, the toughest thing in life for any of us who've lived interesting lives, it isn't that kids can't adapt, can't bounce back, but the hardest part of growing up with struggle in life is that you grow up too fast, right? You know what it's like to be hungry, you know what it's like to lose relatives, you know what it's like to live in a neighborhood with trouble. And my heart breaks for that child and his family, but my heart breaks for his classmates.
The mayor's first 100 days has seen some heartache, but the administration has also taken steps to fight crime in our city. In his first month, Mayor Lucas proposed 2 ordinances, making it illegal for minors to possess handguns and to sell a gun to a minor. What grade would you give yourself?
You know, we've tried. An A grade is entirely inappropriate when you look at the level of violence that we have here. But we've tried hard, and I think what you've seen in this administration, which might be new in some ways, is that every day we're not saying that it's somebody else's problem, but we're saying that it's our own. So I'll give myself a B- right now.
The mayor says he's working on legislation more effectively targeting gang members. He's met with the mayors of Columbia, Springfield, and St. Louis to collectively come up with ways to fight crime.
To make sure that we're working together in unison to get more funding for trauma treatment. This year in Kansas City, there may be 500 people who are shot but who live. We need to make sure that there's trauma treatment for them.
Mayor Lucas says we can also expect a bigger investment in neighborhood policing and more detectives on the streets, all things he will include in next year's budget. But what about the 7 weeks left in 2019? What's the short-term fix before the end of the year? Are there any promises you can make to the viewing public in terms of making sure that the streets are safer for them?
From last week, I'm at Rosebrooks Domestic Violence Shelter. We announced our ordinance to protect victims of domestic violence.
The proposed ordinance makes it illegal for a person convicted of domestic violence to carry a gun. The mayor says over the next 100 days, he'll work to get us under 100 homicides each year, something that will preserve the innocence of all ages.
Every second grade classroom is about the same. They all have promise, they're all excited, they're all asking questions like, what does a mayor do, and have I met Patrick Mahomes? And you know, and I have. But the thing that gets me is I'm like, what can I do to make sure that that 7-year-old, right, lives to 17? And I do not, it breaks my heart leaving a school visit and knowing that the statistics would tell me one thing or another in one neighborhood versus another. That's the change we have to make in Kansas City long term, or else everything under the sun, baseball stadiums, new office buildings, all of that, aren't gonna matter unless you can take care of the people in the community. So the mayor goes on to say in that sit down that the investment in neighborhood policing and adding more detectives will be key in his plan to get the yearly homicide rate below 100. His administration is still crunching a lot of numbers for next year's budget, and we plan on keeping tabs on his promises. In fact, we've created this mayor tracker right here. It's at kshb.com. You can find it on our mobile app as well. It breaks down the issues Mayor Lucas pledged to work on if elected, and we'll update you on the mayor's tracker throughout this term.